Wow, it's getting exciting here, isn't it? We continue in Genesis chapter 27 to the close of the chapter. We read from verses 42 to 46. We're talking still about Esau, Jacob, Rebekah, and Isaac, and everything that happened there. Man, let's continue. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching you, does comfort himself, purposing to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee to Laban my brother, to Haran, and wait with him a few days, until your brother's fury turn away. Until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets that which you have done to him. Then I will send and fetch you from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as those which are of the daughters of this land, what good shall my life be to me? When we follow this story, we're unwrapping it now. When we follow this story, we tend to forget that both Esau and Jacob were in their mid-70s. My goodness, in today's standards, we call them really old guys. Whoa, they were in their mid-70s. Esau had already been married almost 40 years, and his wives, they were living at home with him. Yeah. Now you see why life was so miserable for Isaac and Rebekah. They were idolaters, and Rebekah and Isaac believed in the one true God. There's always bound to be some clash when there's intermarriage like this between a different faith. But now we continue. In verse 41, Esau said in his heart, that was the last verse of the previous lesson. Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Whoa, how loud he must have been to talk to himself. So it just happened that these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. It's curious that Rebekah is the one that always hears everything. Now, just as an aside, if the twins, Esau and Jacob, were in their mid-70s, then Rebekah must have been at least 110 years old. That's doing the math. She may have been 30, 35 when she came from out Bethuel, came out to Canaan to marry Isaac, who was 40. So she must have been at least 110, maybe 115 years old, and still looked beautiful. Wow. So after calling for Jacob, Rebekah tells him, Behold, your brother, as touching you, does comfort himself to kill you. In essence, what she was saying was, He hopes to be able to recover his birthright by killing you. That's from the margin notes of the Geneva Bible, 1587. But I believe it. See, it is implied by Rebekah that even though he might not get the blessings, revenge would be very sweet to him. After all, it does say, what does it say? As touching you, he comforts himself, hoping to kill you. What Rebekah tells Jacob further is this. According to verses 43 to 45, she says, "And now, my son, obey me and get up. Flee to my brother Laban, to Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury subsides." And then he forgets what you've done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. You've got to go. Why should I also be deprived of both of you in one day? Let's pick this apart, what she actually told Isaac here. Not Isaac, Jacob. Flee for yourself to my brother Laban, to Haran, and stay with him a few days. These few days proved to be a period of 20 years, as we shall see. She would never see her beloved son again, and neither would she ever be able to send and bring him back. The other thing she says, and he forgets that what you have done to him. With this, Rebekah acknowledges Jacob's partial guilt and betrays a precise knowledge of Esau's character. Yes, Esau will lose his temper, get raging mad, and then all of a sudden he'll forget what he got mad about. The truth is, the great fury and fiery indignation did pass away with time. But unfortunately, it never passed away with Esau's descendants. They carried a grudge for a long time that even lasted into Israel, the nation of Israel. It's like the Hatfield and McCoys, the hillbillies out in the United States. They're shooting at each other, killing each other, and they forgot what the feud was about. Well, we know what the feud was about. Why should I also be deprived of both of you in one day? Rebekah closes with. Why does Rebekah fear a twofold bereavement? A probable explanation is Esau had killed. If Esau had killed Jacob, he would have been liable either to have been punished with death, according to the law at that time, or to have been driven into exile, like Cain when he killed his brother Abel, where he would have been virtually lost to her forever. That's the possible explanation. Now, a third one a commentator came up with is also that she'd lose Isaac. After all, Isaac felt close to death. He couldn't see and wanted to give out his blessing. He was perceived as dying. So, both of them could have been Isaac and Jacob. But the likelihood of that is questionable. Though Rebekah had already told Jacob to flee to Mesopotamia, she told him to flee to Haran. She had to make it look like it was all Isaac's idea. In order to do this, she passed over the true reason of the proposed journey. She now pretended to fear that Jacob may form a similar connection to the Canaanite woman as Esau had. Oh, what a nightmare! And made this the excellent reason why he should go immediately east to Haran to take a wife from among their relatives in that country. She does not propose it directly. She suggests it. She does it merely in the form of the bitter lament at the behavior of Esau's wives. You know what I find particularly ironic? The greatest schemer in Genesis 25:20 to 27:46 was never credited by any of her family except Jacob as such. And her devious schemes served actually to preserve God's covenant plan with Abraham. But unfortunately, deceitfulness is still evil. Rebekah suffered her share of the consequences by never seeing Jacob, her favorite son, again after she sends him away. And also, as we shall see later, Jacob's consequences for his role in his deceitfulness was a very dysfunctional family. And he would suffer for it. So what is our lesson that we learn from this sad story? Our lesson from this should be that there are always consequences to everything we do. I like what my oldest daughter says. This is one of her favorite sayings, especially when she gets displeased with something I did. Even now, when she's grown up, she says, "Dad, you always live the outcome of your decisions." And she says that as when she's a leader to the youth that she leads. She says it again. Remember, you always live the outcome of your decisions. And it's true. And it's especially true of both Rebekah and Jacob.